What is up, guys? Team Yugi Phils here, and we have another deck profile. So I went to locals on Saturday. I know today is Tuesday that I'm filming this. I was definitely behind in filming. I tried to film it once and I just kept getting like interrupted in the middle of filming it, so I opted to just postpone it a few days and hope that I don't get interrupted while I'm filming it now. But I accidentally decided to play test at home before I left Guru, and I did it as a joke, and I'm doing test hands, and I pick up my phone and I look at the clock and I'm like, oh my god, I have to be to locals in 20 minutes, and my locals is 15 minutes away, so I did not have time to change a full deck out in 5 minutes and get everything prepared, or even think about deciding what to play. So I took Guru. I went 3-1. I got 4th place. I only lost to Zodiac Eldritch. I ended up 2-0ing Virtual World. I 2-0'd Prank Kids, and then what was the other matchup? I beat Paleo Frogs in game 3. So 3-1 against decent decks. The only one that wasn't a decent deck is obviously Paleo Frog. It's not something that's considered quote-unquote relevant. So the other 3 were definitely like meta contending decks, in quotation marks. But let's go ahead and take a look at the Subterror Guru Control deck that I piloted. I didn't want to play this deck. Like I said, it was by mistake. I'm not a firm advocate of playing a bunch of backrow decks, but this one I just went with. So we have 3 Guru and 3 Fiendish. Just the best Subterror monsters. It's basically looping negations over and over again, which is kind of cool. In addition to that, looping Book of Moon, which is pretty nice. Then I played 1 Nemesis Archer, just because like if you set stuff off of the Guru, you can shuffle it back in your opponent's deck. I did that in the Prank Kids mirror. That's why I destroyed him. Then hand traps, I played weird ratios, so 2 Nib, 2 Ash, 2 Bell, and 2 Crow. I feel like in this deck, playing weird hand trap ratios is okay. Typically, I'm not an advocate of playing 2-ofs for hand traps, but this actually worked ridiculously well. And I believe I kept up the trend for the side deck. I haven't looked at this in a few days. Yes, I did keep up the trend for the side deck, which you'll see. So those hand traps were what I thought were optimal, and they worked phenomenally well. 1 Dark Magician and 1 Red Eyes. Obviously, I'm playing the Red Eyes Dragoon engine in here because it's the best variation. You could play Numeron if you want, if you don't want to pick up Dragoons, which I fully understand because they are expensive, but I think the Dragoon variation is a little bit better. Moving on to the spells, though, we have our obligatory 4 copies of Hidden City. You know, just playing this is pretty good. There's not really much to say about it. It's a search, it's a negation, it's a flip, it's everything that the deck needs. Then we have the 3 Red Eyes Fusion for our, our Dragoon play. Now, the fun part about this is that to play a tech card, I went with Magicalized Fusion. So this card, the idea behind it is that after you send your Dark Magician and Red Eyes from the deck to the graveyard, on the following turn you could use something like this. Or in the later game, you could use something like this to then banish the Dark Magician and Red Eyes in your graveyard and summon another Dragoon, which is pretty cool. The only problem was the card never came up. I never drew it at all. The one time, actually I did draw it once, and the one time that I did draw it, my opponent had Imperial Order face up, so there was no point in even trying to use it. But other spell cards, we have 3 Extravagance, and then I think the other solid card to play in this deck is Dark Ruler No More. You could play Chalice, but I think Dark Ruler is a little bit better in this deck because you just shut their entire board off, and then you can just do all of your plays and either break their board or set yourself up to negate their whole board, which is kind of important. So in the Extravagance, I mean, drawing 2 cards is pretty good. The extra deck is not a necessity in here. It's something that like you will sometimes go into, but not all the time. So that's kind of the nice part of it. Then for traps, Triple Strike. This was pretty clutch. Probably flip this card, let's see, probably 5 to 7 times, something like that. It's just super, super good. And some other trap cards here. We got the Final Battle, because Final Battle is ridiculously powerful. I didn't think you needed like 3, to be honest. 2 is fine. There were games where I drew into it and then I just searched the Fiendish instead, and vice versa. Two Tikaboo, there can be only one. This card is pretty good. The only problem is I also did not activate the card once in the entirety of me playing in the tournament, which, I mean, doesn't make too much of a difference. It's still there as a floodgate, which sometimes you'll need. And the last card was Ice Dragon's Prison. I also did not really activate Ice Dragon's Prison. To be perfectly fair, the one thing, like the things that stuck out to me the most with this deck were the fact that I negated what I needed to negate with Dragoon and Fiendus. That's honestly like what I primarily did. It wasn't anything spectacular at all. It was actually kind of a boring way to go about it, but it was something that I felt was completely necessary to kind of accomplish what I was trying to accomplish. So I'm going to go ahead and hop over to the side deck now, which I do the side deck after the extra deck, but I'm going to flip it around this time, and I'll explain why after. So I have two Lancia, two Droll, and two Cycle Reader for the extra hand traps. I felt that these were very, very solid selections overall, and I think that the positive point is that they kind of cover all the other like meta matchups that you would have to worry about, which is exactly what you want your side deck to do. So I didn't side into many of these very often. There was a good amount of Dino there, but I didn't play against any Dino, so the Lancias didn't really come up. I didn't play against any Invoked, so these didn't come up either. The Droll is what I sided in against one matchup. I don't remember which one. Might have been Zodiac, Eldritch, or it was Prank Kids, because like, no, it was Prank Kids. It was Prank Kids because I pulled out the Tikaboos because I knew I didn't need them. Then Cycle Readers, there actually wasn't anyone playing Drytron that I know of, so it actually was useless, which is kind of sad, but that's okay. Then the cool other spicy tech cards, I just went full out spice with this, was triple super poly, and you'll obviously see when we get to the extra deck as to why the super poly is important. I think that overall, the lesson to be learned from super poly is that there are going to be some matchups that it works phenomenally well in, and some matches that it doesn't. But I think that overall, it was a good choice. It really was a good choice. I didn't resolve it really for the most part, which is okay. You don't have to resolve every single card in your side deck or in your main deck either. Clearly, as I didn't resolve half of them, and the deck still functioned very well. But I think it's a really good tech to have, and the fact that your opponent can't chain to it is really important. 3 Cosmic Cyclone for back row removal. I think that we can all agree here that back row removal is kind of important, and I think Cosmic was the way to go. So you guys flipped up there and said Solemn. I might as well show you the last card in my side deck, which is triple Solemn Judgment. Sided this in a good chunk of games that I knew I was going to go first in, or like in the Paleo match, I just kept it in whether I was going first or second, because I knew that like it was going to be beneficial for me. So the triple Judgment was extremely useful. Moving on to the extra deck, though, we'll get to see all the cool stuff here. We have Double Dragoon. I didn't think 3 was necessary, and to be perfectly fair, it really wasn't. There wasn't a time that I ever had the opportunity to summon a second one anyways, so the 2 Dragoon was perfect. I don't think it has to be changed. If you want to play a third, you can. If you want to play less than 3, if you want to play less than 2, if you want to just play 1, then you might want to not play Pot of Extravagance, excuse me. And super poly targets. We had 2 Starving Venom, 2 Necro Soul for our big boys. Then I played 2 Dragostapelio for our medium boy, and then the low stats here were the Mud Dragons. These would have been a lot more useful, but I didn't really see much of a use against most of the matchups I was playing against. Then to counter Dogmatica, I had 2 Entis, 1 Mechaba, and 2 Nova. Also didn't see any decks that were playing Dogmatica. So basically, I prepared for almost every single matchup that I could have come across, and I didn't come across half of the matchups that I prepared for, which is perfectly fine. It's going to happen. I'm not even worried about it. But that is the extra deck, which basically wraps the deck profile to a close here. The deck actually functioned better than I thought it was going to, which was nice. But like I said, I am not a guru advocate. I don't like playing the deck a lot because I think it's very luck based, because you have to like almost draw into every single engine that you need. You have to like draw Hidden City, you have to draw Red Eyes Fusion. So if you're lucky enough, then sure, go for it. But at the same time, even though I say it's luck based, you kind of have to take into consideration that if you are negating the wrong cards at the wrong time, then your opponent's probably going to play through your board. So I wouldn't say the deck is skillless by any stretch of the imagination. The deck does require a fair amount of skill. I always say that control decks require more skill than combo, which typically most people who are competitive in the game will agree with that statement. But I think overall the deck kind of just was there to cheese some wins out and make some people frustrated. And obviously by my own stupid mistake, I did not have another deck prepared in time to play it. But it got me 4th place. I went 3-1, so I really can't complain with the result. It definitely served the purpose that I wanted it to. But if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to let me know what you think in the comment section down below. As I said, I played this deck basically against my own will because I didn't realize what was going to happen with the time frame that I somehow managed to forget to keep track of. But like I said, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe as well. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. And for right now, this is Team Yugafils signing out.